Whether you're insured, uninsured, or underinsured, you will still be cared for at Health First Community Health Center. We offer financial and prescription assistance to all those that qualify, which is based on income and household size. Contact our office for more information at 365-9455. Walk-ins are welcome. 1100 South Jefferson Street, Princeton. At Health First, your health is our first concern.
Welcome back to Coffee Talk on WPKY. It is warming up nicely. That sun is high and beautiful, and oh my goodness, it's 61 right now. We have our Weather Guy Wednesday day today, and we've got our weather guy on the line right now. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Misty. Looks like you've done giving the weather for the day. So anyway, see you.
Well, that's all right. I did today's weather. You can give me the other days. By the way, this is Dave Powell, weather forecaster Dave Powell. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I appreciate your time. I always enjoy our conversation, so I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about this morning.
Well, we do have mutually enjoyed conversations, and we're going to start off talking about the weather. You know, it's I know you've done given the weather, but boy, did you like yesterday's weather?
I did.
Then you're going to love today's, and you're going to love Thursday. You know, we're going to get through most of Thursday, I think, without much in the way of rainfall or trouble or anything. So it should be a fairly nice day. But one thing you're going to notice big time is the winds. They're going to pick up, and I mean, they are going to go howling. It's probably going to be, well, I think the sustained winds, in other words, it's the winds that just normally blowing, will be somewhere around 20, 25, maybe even 30 miles an hour. But then some of the gusts could hit up to 45 miles an hour, and that's bordering on getting to the point where they could be a little bit on the damaging side. But right now, I think it's going to be okay. You know, we have these kind of winds. After all, this is springtime, and wind always means change is coming. And that's not going to be any different. You know, this is going to be a storm system that comes in, and it's only going to last for about 12 hours. It'll probably come in, late tomorrow night, and it'll probably be over and out of here by Friday morning anyway, by mid-morning. And Friday should end up being a pretty nice day, but it's going to be a little cooler, high of only 71. And then on Saturday, it's going to be cooler still with a high only in the mid-60s. So I guess we would call that dogwood winter because, well, the dogwood's blooming yet.
Are they, did you say?
I think they are. But
yeah, I have no idea. I don't know one tree from another, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. You're an outdoor woman, but not an outdoor woman.
I love being outdoors. I just don't know anything about it. I just know it feels nice. That's all I know. That's all I care about.
You were sheltered.
I was sheltered.
That's what it was.
I was. It's sad.
And your horse has to take care of you when you're out. So you have to depend on your horse. But anyway.
I do. But you know what? I can't depend on him if we get lost. He always goes the wrong direction.
No, they usually find their way back.
They do. Yes, that's normal. Yes, if you get lost, the general rule is drop your reins, your horse will find his way back. Not this one. If I drop my reins and he says, let's go this way, I know we need to go the other way.
Well, maybe he knows a shortcut you don't know about.
That's what it is.
Or maybe there's a filly off in the next field he wants to go visit.
No, there's probably just green grass over in the next field that he wants to go get.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it looks like Saturday's going to be pretty nice, but at least the first half. But it looks like that even with it being cool, we've got another big system coming in, and this one right here promises to produce a lot of heavy rainfall for us. You know, some areas could pick up 1 inch to 2 inches of rain in that one. And but it'll still remain, like I said, cool. And Sunday, it looks like we're going to have another washout day, showers and thunderstorms, high of only in the upper 60s. So, you know, it's again, one of those coolish times. But the good thing about it all is I don't see any frost in our future. It doesn't look like it's going to get cold enough to produce any frost. If there were a night that I'd be a little bit worried about, it would be Sunday night. But even then, our low is only projected to be down to around lower 40s, so that's well above the frost level. So we'll see how it goes, and then as we go into Monday and all the rest of the first of next week, looks like we're going to be back to sunny and a little bit warmer, highs in the lower 70s by Tuesday, but still going to be windy. So we're going to have to contend with these winds for a little while.
So on Saturday, you said we're looking at some storms possibly Saturday, like when? Like in the afternoon, overnight?
Saturday afternoon. Well, actually, let's see here. late Saturday night is going to be the best time, but you could see a small chance of showers, or, probably some during the afternoon. It'd be mainly after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but the big rains come in late Saturday night into early Sunday, and some of those, like I said, could produce heavy rainfall. Right now, I don't see the severe parameters being too strong, so that's a good thing. We really don't need those severe weather, and because that caused me a lot more work, and everybody wants to get out of work when they can. So,
what kind of work do you have to do if we have bad weather?
Oh my goodness, I have to do all kinds of updates and answer about 200 questions and provide reports to our sister stations and even to some extent to WPKY. So in an effort to keep everyone informed and as safe as possible, severe weather is not something I like to fool with, even though, yes, everybody says, oh, you must love it because you're out there in them all the time. Well, that's true, but love is not a word I would use to describe my feelings about severe weather. I lost a good friend to a tornado a few years ago, and I don't know, it still troubles me even to this day that it happened, but, it was one of those things that, you go when your time is up, and you don't go before then, and so you try to do the best you can and try to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. So that's what I try to do.
Right, yeah. Unfortunately, we can't stop, the severe weather. We can only do our best to protect ourselves when it's coming and educate ourselves and know what to do and listen to our weather guy when he says something's coming. And
well, we're very fortunate. I think the public nowadays is much more educated on weather and what to do, and they know what the rules are whenever they've got a warning coming. One of the things that caused the deaths of so many people out in Joplin, Missouri, when that F5 came in, is that a lot of people went out on the front porch to see it, and a tornado that strong can come so fast that you don't have time to react, and that's exactly what happened to a lot of them. So, you have to urge everyone to take the warning seriously, and as much as you would like to look out and see if there's a tornado, the best thing to do is to take the warning and take cover because they don't play around.
Right. That's...
Go ahead.
Well, the closest, I have not been involved in a tornado, but there was one really close to my house 2 years ago, I think. No, it's been 4 or 5 years ago. It's been a while ago. But right. There was someone, the way I heard about it, the person had picked up some feed from my neighbors down the road, and he was on his way home. He was in his truck, and, literally a tree came through his windshield.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but before that, he had jumped out of the truck and got into the ditch. So
good, wise decision.
Yeah. So he was safe, but the truck, of course, was demolished. But that one was really close, and that one actually really scared me because I wasn't home at the time. I was in Illinois working, and my daughter was home, and my neighbor called, and he's like, do you know anything about, he was checking on our other neighbor and proceeds to tell me about a tornado. And I was like, wait a minute, what? My daughter's there. Where did it go? Where did it hit? And he was out of town as well, so he didn't know where it hit, and just proceeded to tell me about, the guy that had come pick up the feed at his house. And then I couldn't get, the phone lines went down, so I couldn't call. I couldn't get a hold of my husband. I couldn't get a hold of my daughter. I couldn't get a hold of my mother-in-law who lives right next door. And, I'm just freaking out. So, I get a little nervous when we start talking about tornadoes.
Well, unfortunately, it's a fact of life in the area we live. The tornado alley has actually, a new one has developed, and they call it Dixie Alley, and that's the area we live in. And there's certain characteristics with each tornado alley. Out west, you've got the typical tornado alley where you got wide open spaces, can see forever, and you got storm chasers that can see forever, and they think they really done something. But you haven't been out on a storm until you tried to go out in this kind of terrain. And the other thing about Dixie Alley is that all of them, almost, I'd say 95% of them occur at night. And don't ask me why that is, but, Kentucky is really tied for number 2 in the nation for nighttime tornadoes. And guess what number 1 is?
What number one? What place?
Is the number one state for nighttime tornadoes?
Illinois.
No, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
So what that means is that the people who are out spotting, like the teams that I'm a member of and everything, you have to be careful because we've done it so much you actually get good at it, as good as you can be. But at night you have to watch for lightning flashes that silhouette the funnel, or you have to watch for power line flashes. You have to listen for the roar, and of course, by the time you've heard the roar, it's almost too late to get out of the way. So the terrain is just horrible. You don't have any long areas you can see. A few spots are okay that you can find, and believe me, we know where every one of those are. But in general, if you're out being mobile on a tornado or tornadic storm, it's a difficult and dangerous thing to do. So you have to train for it, and of course we train for it constantly. And so far we all got to come home.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't think I'd take that chance. If I'm honestly, if I have to be involved in a tornado, I would rather do it at night. I'd rather, my preference is at night because I'm not going to hear it. I will sleep right through that tornado. It will take me away, and I won't even know it. Well,
the secret is getting adequate warning so you can take the necessary precautions, and one way you do that is through the weather radio, obviously, and then of course our sister station WKEZ has the text messaging that you can sign up for. That will actually send text messages, and it may be on WPKY's site as well. It's kind of like a joint effort, but the text messaging will send text to your phone or even email, whatever you want, and it will tell you any warnings that are going on at the time that they're occurring, and that'll give you a little bit of a heads up and hopefully get you to a safe place before it hits. Mm-hmm. So you can sign up for that, I think, on their website, WKDZradio.com, and like I said, I think it's on WPKY's, but I'm not sure. But either way, it's definitely something worth looking at seriously.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully we won't have to look at that this weekend.
No, I hope not. Unfortunately, I've been looking at the latest trends, the long-range outlooks and stuff. Of course, a lot of the listeners like to say, hey, what's it going to do out in the future? Well, I'm not always right about it, but I have a pretty good track record. And it's looking like that really from about mid-April, which would be, that's actually the 15th, that's Monday, we're looking at an uptick in possible severe outbreaks. So we're going to have to watch that. All the way from mid-April through most of May is our peak season for tornado activity. So, we've been through them before. We'll get through these, and we'll probably be talking about something similar next year at this time. But again, you never can be too safe on stuff like that. Do whatever you can, learn all the good safety rules, and hopefully if it ever does happen to you, you and your family will be ready to go. As far as, I don't mean ready to go, but I mean it's
ready to stay safe.
That way. Yeah. I mean, you'll be safe. That's right.
Okay, Dave. Goodness.
Talk about sticking your foot in your mouth. Wow.
Yeah, just a little bit on that one. There you go. Dave, let's talk about, you had said, in one of our conversations past that you wanted to kind of talk about the weather trends that have been going on. Let's touch on that just a little bit. We've got some extra time this morning. Well,
good. I'm glad to hear that because I am ready for something like that. I was looking at some of the information yesterday, and I noticed that California, for the first time in 7 years, have no drought conditions in the state.
Wow.
That is some kind of good news. It's amazing, and I can't remember the last time I saw them when they weren't having a drought, but they actually have drought-free conditions now in California. So, that's a little bit of good news. In fact, the drought conditions in the West was at 53% in January, and now it's down to, I believe it was 15% at this time. So, big significant improvement in drought conditions. So let's hope that continues. But, we've been in a period of weather extremes, and I have no reason to doubt that our weather extremes will continue. Now, right now, we're pretty good shape. We've actually had a spring this year that we didn't have last year. And but it won't be long. We'll be going into even warmer temperatures, and we'll be saying, "Oh, summer's here." But some of the more notable things that's happened in the past that are weather extremes, or how our weather has been changing. Excuse me. There was a softball-sized hailstone near Cullman, Alabama, which was a new state record, more than 5 inches in diameter. And that was actually on March 19th. So,
wow.
That's one thing. And then there was a winter storm just after New Year's Day in Tallahassee, Florida, with the first measurable snow since 1989 and the first January such occurrence there in records dating back to 1885. Now, they actually had a 1/4 inch of ice accumulation in that area, and that's pretty unusual for Florida. And then, of course, most of you remember last April and May. It was the coldest April in 21 years last year, so we're nothing like that this year. And then we went into May, and it went from record cold to one of the warmest months in the area. So
wasn't it last year that we got snow in April? A pretty good
believe that's
snow.
Correct. Yeah, I think it was the first part of April. I want to say around the 6th. I'll have to go back and look, but yeah.
I just remember it kind of got in the way of some things I was planning at that time. Wasn't supposed to be happening.
And you don't hear much about snow in June, but on June 26th, there was a storm off the coast of Newfoundland that had just enough cold air to send snow to that area, and it was one of the latest in-season snowfalls on record in Gander, Newfoundland, and most of us are familiar with that particular city due to that crash numerous years ago that killed a lot of Fort Campbell soldiers. And then let's talk about the hurricanes. Before, say, the last couple of 3 years, you almost never heard of a Category 5 hurricane striking the U.S. The last one I can remember was Katrina, and that was probably what was the start of the trend. But, since that time, we've had Michael, Harvey, Edna. No, it's not Edna. I forgot the name of that other one. but and every one of them are very
Wasn't
strong.
there an Irene in there or something?
That's correct. And Florence, even though it was not the most powerful storm, but it came ashore, its forward motion just about stopped, and it unloaded historic amounts of rain in North Carolina. You might remember when that took place. It was about, a couple of years ago. And Wilmington, North Carolina, had 100-plus inches of rain in that year, and it topped the previous mark by about 30 inches. So, and this is a big one. February 12th, a huge low pressure system moved over Hawaii at that time, and it dropped snow levels down to 6,000 feet on the island of Maui, and that was a new state record. So, even Hawaii gets snowfall, but that's a little bit unusual. But you know what? It also got a new record cold in that area, where on the summit of that mountain, temperature dropped to 20 degrees, and that's pretty interesting. Other things is, of course, the wind has been just absolutely phenomenal lately. I think it was in 1999, Oklahoma City had a tornado above ground by Doppler radar, but the speed, was 286 miles an hour. Now that is
wow. Yeah,
that's kicking it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a period of weather extremes, and I could go on and on. We could talk about this all day because there is climate change taking place. The thing that I think a lot of us are disagreeing with is that the climate change is caused solely by man. I think it's also a part of a actual long-term climate trend that has happened before and will probably happen again, although I do think that we're going to be going into a period of cooler time because of the sunspot activity on the sun is almost non-existent. I think there's one up there right now, but generally when you have low sunspot activity, you have less energy of the sun getting to the earth, and therefore you have global cooling, to be honest with you. Now, how much is that cooling going to be felt? I don't know. That's something that we'll have to wait and see on. But it is a strange world in the weather. Anything can happen. You never say never. And, of course, in Kentucky, they say if you don't like the weather, just wait a few minutes and it'll change. And I found that is pretty much the truth.
Yep, that is true.
But I think our frost danger is pretty much over now. I'm going to take a chance and go ahead and start planning, but I'm not going to say we're completely safe, but it looks to me like there's not going to be much in the way of frost, at least in the foreseeable future. And of course, the later we get into the season, less likely that's going to happen. And so, it's shaping up to be a nice spring, and the trees are all budding out, and the pollen is getting high, so you're going to have a lot of sneezy, watery eyes and everything, to deal with. Mm-hmm. It's that time of the year,
That's true. Some of us, don't ever get away from that, but...
Oh, you don't?
No. I'm allergic to everything but the cat, literally.
So we...
I am not kidding.
We can call you Sneezy Musser.
There you go.
Oh, man. But yeah, it is nice to get out and enjoy the outdoors. I'm not really looking forward to the yard mowing and all that stuff. Yes, I've had to mow my yard once already, and I'm not real keen about it. But, it kind of goes with the territory.
That's right. Well, Dave, I sure do appreciate your time today. I thank you for all that information. That is it's so cool to learn, all this stuff. We probably have heard some of that bits and pieces of it here and there, but it's so cool to listen to it all put together by somebody who actually knows what they're talking about.
Well, that's debatable sometimes, but I can sure talk a good game anyway.
you can make us believe it anyway.
Are we out of time?
We are out of time. I thought we had a little extra, but then we are out of time for right now. But next week we'll talk again. Okay.
All right, and maybe we can work in that Beast of LBL story.
You keep saying that. Look, now you've got me all paranoid about the Beast of the LBL, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. You got a reason to be. But yeah, okay. Well, I look forward to it, and I hope the listeners look forward to it as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Dave.
Okay, Missy. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. That's weather forecaster Dave Powell right there. I always enjoy Wednesdays with our weather guy, Dave Powell. We're going to talk to Baxter Boyd from Southside Baptist Church here in just a minute about some stuff going on over there.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
The spring forecast continues with mostly sunny skies today and a high of 79. Partly cloudy overnight with the overnight low getting down to 62. More sunshine tomorrow, high again of 79 tomorrow with breezy skies.